Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me on another video, another episode of the 0%. You can go to the 0%.net. I wanted to share some information with you. I wanted to share more on discharge, California Tax Franchise Board discharge more specifically. And guess what? It's my own case. You know how I like to do it. I like to show my own paperwork and show how things are done. It's my own case, and it's dating back to the fiscal year of 2018. So earlier this year, I believe around May of 2023, received a notice from our friends in California regarding an alleged state tax that the ens legis, known as my birth name, Avery Cottrell, allegedly owed a state tax. The question is, do I? Well, technically speaking, yes. If I continue to move and use the 14th Amendment citizen known as Avery Cottrell, which is a United States vessel, it is a vessel on the Holy See, SEE, continuing to take on the benefits and privileges of the United States. If I were to continue to use the Social Security number and that name, yes, the 14th Amendment person owes a tax to whoever is asking for it, especially the state or federal. Why? Because that name you see on the screen here, it has an agriculture lien on that name. And if that name is used, that is seen to be almost like a franchise. So therefore, if I'm using a franchise business, something that is owned by someone else, then yes, I owe fees, I owe dues, taxes, impositions, duties. And if you see this lien that is out there on the internet, this agriculture lien, you see that there are a list of organizations that are operating together, such as the North American Water and Power Alliance. You have the Defense, the Pentagon, of course. And there are others here. If we scroll up, you've seen me talk about this before, the Federal Reserve System. We have the Treasury Department, E pluribus unum, for one we are many, and so on and so on. The main point here is they have filed a $14 quadrillion lien against all real men with hands and legs and all real land. All of the land on the North American continent is under the treaty, which is called the UniJoint. And the UniJoint is operated by one of the multi-trillion-dollar, just all-out wealthy Italian families. I spoke about that in one of our recent videos. Which family that is, off the top of my head, cannot remember, but they are in control mostly of North America. I believe it's the Collin family. So instead of paying the full balance, I decided to show the state real proof and also proof for you all, so that you know that this stuff that we're putting together, our trust packet and all of the trustee minutes that goes with it, it is real. And you may use it to exercise your position and to further perfect your express trust. There will always be a day, there will always be a time where these organizations and agencies are going to test you. They'd have no idea if you were once operating in trust and one day you decide to opt out. So they must test the waters to see where you are. They will always test your knowledge. So here it is, a 2018 file from the California State Franchise Tax Board. I want you to pay attention to the account number. The account number beginning 230, as you see here, 230, ending in 5550, 5550, and 5550. Now, this notice was given to me back in May, and they're saying that this is due May 25th. Okay. Balance of $1,700. Yes, I could have paid that, but I want to show what your paperwork can do if you use it the correct way, if you file everything in the correct way with the proper authorities. All right, so this is due on the 25th of May, and we have here tax year 2018. If you live in California, this looks very familiar. You know what this is all about. Some of you may have a tax that is much higher than this, right? $1,188. The penalties is $297. This is code A. And the interest rate here is $272.47. No collection fees. We have a total of $1,757.47 due on May 25th of this year. Okay. Before I get into everything else, let me just say this. Like I said, I wanted to show proof, right? The proof is that I am not a U.S. citizen. This is what we're striving to show and to perfect. I do not go by that name, Avery Cottrell. The new name, my title of nobility name, it has no social security number. And it was also signed off by the judge in court. The judge signed off in court on a decree of who I am and what that means. So if I'm not a U.S. citizen and I'm not a U.S. national, right? U.S. nationals do not pertain to us. That is someone who's born in the Samoa Islands, the Virgin Islands. Look under 144A, the treaty about the Mariana Islands. If that pertains to you, then you are considered a U.S. national. But of course, you can claim something else. And that very thing that you want to claim is what I've claimed to be all this time, a Californian national. California, right? And that's it. That is everything that you want to be. If you are from Oregon, you're an Oregonian, right? Venezuela, Venezuelan national. That's it. And so the judge signed off on that documentation. So now I have certification that I can use to prove that fact. Now I can question the validity of the public debt, which the 14th Amendment said I could not do. It said 14th Amendment citizens could not question the validity of the public debt. But until you have proof, court order, showing that you're not a 14th Amendment citizen, now you can question. And you'll see that here. So I also provided that documentation when I fought this notice of lien here, notice of tax. I also included the non-UCC lien, which my Foreign Express Trust has first lien position over the subject matter jurisdiction. I broke that down in recent videos. What is the subject? The subject is the birth certificate QSIP. And the matter is that after birth DNA material that our parents never claimed when they went to that federal agency known as the hospital. You know that the hospitals came about by the Knights of Hospitaller, the Knights of Malta. That is a Catholic organization, and that's where the hospitals began. Okay, so you have to take back subject matter jurisdiction. It was once held with the Federal Reserve on that agriculture lien right here. This is an agricultural lien. They have the right to do this. Why? Because they are the ones who started the Department of Agriculture. That's the whole initial setup of the United States. It had the first start through the Department of Agriculture, because the great Sultan, the great governor of the world, needed someone to collect taxes here on the North American lands due to those who were acting out of what's called insurrection and rebellion. They weren't paying the Sultan's tribute, so they started the Department of Agriculture. Everything is the Department of Agriculture. If you go to Puerto Rico and you're trying to come back to the States, you're going to have to run your luggage through a scanner, and it's governed by the United States Department of Agriculture. It's a whole nother form of TSA. I've seen it myself. So you want to file that non-UCC lien. You need to have your trust to have first lien position, taking back subject matter jurisdiction. Now, all of you need to do this. It's your choice. All of you need to do it. You need to take back subject matter jurisdiction into your own hands and not by the hands of the state. They have no business in your affairs. You are fully competent, but until you do this, they will see you as incompetent, and therefore you owe a tax. And one more thing, you know I did, as previously mentioned, in the recent videos, we cannot forget the UCC 3, termination. The trust terminates the $14 quadrillion lien that was on Avery Cottrell's head. I cannot do it for you. No one else can do it for you. Everyone must do it for themselves to be truly released from the public de facto and unlawful taxation, right? So when you have perfected that, then you do not have to reply by a certain due date, right? Due dates mean nothing to me because I know what I have and I know what I overstand. And I know how to sue these organizations if I need to. It's actually cheaper for them to remove it, cancel it, discharge it, opposed to going into court trying to make me terrified or scare me with their tactics, to find out that I'm not scared and the case will become precedence for the world to see. That's a big no-no in their books. They would rather avoid court. So take a good look. This is what it is. Now, a few announcements before I show you the other document that I received from the California Franchise Board. We have a few videos coming up for you. You're going to get a chance to meet our team and discuss their strengths and testimonies. We have child support testimonies, auto loan discharge to receive the title to the vehicle. You need to know how to transfer the title of those vehicles in trust with the DMV and how to have a specific entity to utilize as your trustee. Okay, you're going to use your trust enterprise and you're going to have a specific entity sign off as the trustee. It could be an LLC, right? Let's say it is an LLC. Whoever signs off as the manager on that LLC is going to get the insurance for the auto car, while you are going to operate with additional insurance. We call that personal injury insurance or non-owner's insurance. Very minimum, but trust me, it's well worth it. You're also going to need to know how to manipulate 501c3s or 508c1as if you're going to utilize a church or even unincorporated associations. Any of those can be utilized. You need to know how to manipulate them for different avenues of business. Why? To reduce and keep your tax liability to zero. It's not tax evasion, it is tax avoidance, and there is a way. You just have to know how to do it. So like I said, the 0%.net is where you'll find all of the course material from freshman to senior, including specific webinars that are put together for you, so that way you may perfect your trust packet that you're putting together. So, one last announcement. We have our very own student, one of our students who has completed the entire process, and he is dying to share what he has done for his family's mortgage and his auto loans. I'm very, very proud of him, and hope all of you listening will have the same remedy. All right, so let's get back to state taxes. So everybody, you see here, real document, we see the account number, 2018, $1,700, due by May 25th, right? All right, let's move that aside. Here is another one that I received. This was dated for July 18. Same account number, 230-5550. Same thing. All of a sudden, after submitting my birth certificate authentication proof, non-UCC, UCC3, all of that stuff that we put together to properly take that agriculture lien off of our person and show them that the trust is real. They didn't even include the tax year here. Nowhere in the box and nowhere at the top. Let's compare. We look here, we see for sure the tax year is there, and the tax year is here down below in the chart. But here, nothing. And down here, nothing. There is no tax due, there is no penalties, there is no interest, no fees, no payment adjustments, no payments. I didn't send any money in. And there's no total. However, there is other liability tax of $31.67, which we have no explanation of. Now, they are referring that I referred to the explanation of penalty and other liability code section. When I try to pull up this phrase here, I end up with nothing. Nothing on the back side of the form shows me anything to reference to this here to understand what is Section C. Section C, in my opinion, is ghost land. It is la la land. Gone. There's nothing there to see. And this is their way of giving me that confirmation that I know what I'm doing. They understand who I am. There is not going to be any more taxes coming under this name for the following years, 2019, 2020, 2021. That's all done away with once you do it one time. See, if you go all the way back to the very first one and handle it this way, it's going to apply to everything else. Now, I'd be a fool not to send in something for this $31. Why not? Because I don't want this to come back. I don't want to play any more games with them. Give them the $30 and be on my merry way. That's better than $1,700. What this actually is, what they're telling me is, okay, we'll give you an accord and satisfaction offer. Some of you may know that phrase with the federal government as offer in compromise. Pay a little bit here, we get rid of the rest. A big part of me is saying, don't do it and just take care of it later, or they're probably just going to ignore this entire thing anyway. But I'm going to send it in and wash my hands of it. Okay. So this is the results of doing what I explained. To kind of show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. I mean, inside of the course, you see everything that I give you, and I explain everything in detail, show you the why behind what you do, because that's very important. If you don't understand the why, then you don't know where you're going. But here is a copy of one of my trustee minutes. This is something that I filed. This is number 33 that I filed within the county and also in the local newspaper. That's my motto. We have all been given the right to freedom of speech and the right to publish our sentiments. This is the proper way to voice what you agree with and what you do not agree with. You don't riot, you don't picket, you don't break things, you don't damage your own local neighborhoods. No, that's exactly what they want you to do. What you do is publish your sentiments for the public to see in local newspapers before you bring your accusation and before you bring your declarations to the proper authorities. So all of your minutes that you do need to be first in the paper, then in the county recorder's office with the actual clerk of court, because the clerk of court is what? I say it all the time, an immigration officer within a naturalization court. That's what you want to do. Now, what does that do? That just makes your trust fall into the category of a literary work. And guess what? A literary work is on par with religious, scientific, charitable. All of those things are tax-exempt actions. And this is where you want to be. So I'll briefly read this. It says, the sole trustee called this meeting to order and affirmed that officially on May 26, 2023 at 4:31 p.m., the trustee received the intangible property herein known as non-uniform commercial code lien filing and uniform commercial code amendment filing. That's the non-UCC, and that's also the UCC 3. A 3 is an amendment, and on that amendment, you can determine if it's going to be a continuation, if it's going to be a termination, or there are two other items you can select. In this case, I used the amendment form to terminate that original lien that is on the people. This one here. I didn't terminate it for the entire world. I can't do that for my neighbor. It'd be nice if I could. I can only do it pertaining to me. So you must do it pertaining to you. Clear? So it says this was filed in the circuit court in the county of Seminole, state of Florida. The trustee approved the initial exchange of the specific property for 100 units of beneficial interest, now hereto as TCUs, trust certificate units, and it is held with the indenture by the sole trustee for the sole beneficiary, which is the trust itself, doing business as, do you see that? Avery Duval Cottrell, and my title of nobility name, Avery Farrell, the Bay of Los Angeles. And I also gave them the court order number so they can look it up within their same jurisdiction and know that this is actually real. So in order for them to collect taxes for this name, they would also have to collect taxes from the trust, and trust cannot be taxed, especially if your trust has a foreign trustee attached to it as the sole trustee. That means that foreign trustee is the only one attached to it. They cannot collect from the nation where that trustee is from. If my trustee is from Switzerland, it doesn't matter how many treaties or alliances the United States has with Switzerland, they cannot take taxes from Switzerland. That's stealing. Switzerland can tax a Switzerland citizen. That's how that works. That is a very key element of your trust. You must have a foreign trustee at all times for you to have remedies such as this. Right? So let's see here. It says the sole trustee shall serve copies of the instruments. And who are we serving it to? We're serving it to these entities down below. Pay attention to that. I'm not going to say it. You can see it for yourself and take it down. But we have all of this, like I said, planned out and detailed in the course for you if you are seeking to do this process for yourself and your family. I want to leave you with this here as well. If you are planning to have children and you understand that this birth certificate may be a problem, it's causing all of these problems to giving jurisdiction over to the government. Well, if you get one, do this process for them and they're good. There is another way. Like I said before, everything needs to go in the local paper and everything needs to go in with the county in affidavit format. So if you properly detail the birth of your child, let's say you have your child born at home with the midwife, and you're able to keep the placenta and the afterbirth material because there are benefits for the child, right? I highly recommend it. Well, you will be able to properly document the time, the birth, the weight, and whatever you want to put on that birth announcement and place it inside of the local newspaper. Just like a DBA, you have to put it in the newspaper. And once it's in the paper, you can put it and record it down with the county. Once the county has it, they're going to place their seal on it. And once you have that seal, you can now start authenticating on every level of government. You can authenticate on the county level, from there, the state level, from there, the United States Department of State. And when you have that, that document serves as the same way a birth certificate would in any country. Same thing applies for marriages. I'm trying to give you an idea of how you may use these things to get away from taking on state-approved benefits and privileges. All right. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope it was well informed and useful for you. If you're looking to do a process such as this, if you have a back tax, whether that's state or federal, these documents will terminate those taxes. And like as you see here, they do not like to leave any trace of what they're discharging for you without explanation. All you know is that it is gone. All right. With that being said, I will see you in the next video.